the Estoril Formula One circuit, it became a kart circuit. More than 30 years ago, it hosted the World Karting Championships. Someone who finished second on that day went on to make a name for himself. He also spoke Portuguese. His name was Ayrton. In 2000, the Braga circuit in the north of the country hosted the world title, won by the Brit Colin Brown and David Foray in the Formula A and Super A classes respectively. As we look at the Venezuelan Sebastian Fernandez. It's one of the photographers here working for the World's Karting Media loses his hat. That's how windy it is. Of course, the World Championships returned to Braga in 2005. On that occasion, the race was won by another Brit, Oliver Oakes. It's a beautiful sunny day here today. We're expecting a top later in the afternoon of around 28 degrees. The 1 minute board goes up. The mechanics have evacuated the circuit. This is the opening round of the CIK-FIA European Championships. From here, the championship heads to the United Kingdom, the PF International Circuit on the 21st of June, before concluding in Kristianstad in Sweden in late July. Sebastian Fernandez slow to get away, but he does get that Esprit kart fired up as the field raced down for the first of their 2 expected formation laps. As we look at the grid, Kenny Roosens on pole from the Indonesian Perdana Minang, then it's Lungard and the Brit Teddy Wilson, Kushmani, Sebastian Fernandez, Clement Novalak, recently crowned Supermaster Series champion, starts out of the 4th row of the grid alongside Presley Martono. Look back in the field, grid number 20, the flying Brazilian Felipe Drugovich. He is alongside the Brit Alex Quinn. Logan Sargent, he's had a wretched weekend. He's down in grid number 24. Don't write off the American though. He starts 1 row ahead of Marta Garcia. On the back of the grid, Antonio Serravalle did not complete a lap of the pre-final. A big job for the Canadian from Toronto. Starting out of grid 34, ahead of him is the young Australian Oscar Piastri, who's driven really well this weekend, qualified 16th out of 63 drivers. He's got that Pararilla-powered Cosmic Kart working. A lot of work to do for Oscar from grid number 32, considering the field that's in front of him. So your pole sitter, Kenny Roosens, will slow the field down imminently as they go through the infield part of this Portimao circuit. Now down into the Energy Sparko hairpin. There's Perdana Minang from Jakarta in the black Kartronics Tony car. The outside of the front row, Christian Lundgaard in the Tony car with the orange helmet from Denmark. Teddy Wilson, number 259 for Forza Racing. The driver, the team from the United Kingdom. Presley Martono. Watch out for the other Indonesian. There he is, driving for Team Baby Race. This is the final corner. We may, in fact, get a start this time round. I'm looking at the race director, Mr. Nigel Edwards. He seems happy, but not happy enough because we will have 1 more formation lap. That's the Autódromo Algarve Internacional in the background. Host circuit to the World Superbike Championship this year, as well as a round of the Blancpain GT Series, I believe. Magnificent complex here in the south of Portugal. A truly world-class motorsport facility. This 1,531 metre kart circuit. But we will speak about the track length. It's not the longest variation. There is a longer version. Thankfully, we're not using that because if they did, the karts would almost be out of sight. That's how big the complex is here in Portimao. Let's try again. Kenny Roosens, VDK Racing, pole position from Belgium alongside the Indonesian Perdana Minang. Cosmic versus Tony Kart. We have to go back to grid number 12 to find a non-OTK car. That's David Vidales in the energy for red lights. They go out this time, and it is indeed Kenny Roosens leading them down into turn number 1. The field bunch up a little bit in the midfield. Kenny Roosens, nice start. Christian Lundgaard, the Dane, straight up in position number 2. Portimao has lost out badly. He's back in 7th place, the Indonesian driver. This is the opening lap of 17. The first round, the first final of the 2015 championship. Look how close Lundgaard is to the back of Roosens. Roosens covers his line. He holds the lead. This is the first lap. The first time down into the Energy Sparko hairpin. Watch Lundgaard. Will he make a move this time? He thought about it. Kenny Roosens knew he was there. Blocked his line. Defensive from the Belgian. His problem is he's going to give the slipstream advantage to Christian Lundgaard behind him across the line for the first time. It's Cosmic versus Tony Kart. Lundgaard is in the slipstream. Let's see if he can make a move into turn number 2. Not this time. Good drive off the corner by Kenny Roosens to hold out the Dane. Kushmani, brilliant, up into position number 3. The Indian driver came from the 3rd row of the grid, in fact, for Forza Racing. Clement Novalak, the British driver, born in Switzerland. He is now in 4th place. One ahead of Teddy Wilson and Sebastian Fernandez, the Venezuelan, in position number 6. The front 3 starting to pull away a little bit. Now the race is settling down. Kenny Roosens looks behind him. Lundgaard is still there. Lap number 2 of 17. Great start by Oscar Piastri. He's already made up 10 spots on the opening lap of the race. Kushmani wrestles that Tony Kart through the final turn onto the start-finish straight. Lundgaard is out of the slipstream of Roosens. The Belgian has got a 0.4 of a second lead over Christian Lundgaard. Lundgaard, after a great start, he's going to come under attack imminently by the flying Indian, Kushmani. Clement Novalak holds off Teddy Wilson, his countryman, for 4th. Fernandez, David Vidales, the first non-OTK kart, the Energy Kart driver from Spain, now up into position number 7 from 12th off the start. He's passed the other Indonesian driver, Presley Martono, the impressive young Brazilian Caio Colette, and Semi Taufuk, rounding out the top 10. That's the battle for 2nd, back to all the way back to 14th, in fact. Kushmani goes through. Well, Roosens has broken the slipstream all right. It was 0.4 of a second last time round. He's put 0.4 of a second on Lundgaard. The gap almost out to 1 second. It's 0.824 between your race leader, Kenny Roosens, Christian Lundgaard, and Kushmani. So it's the Cosmic Kart from BDK Racing leading the Ward Racing Tony Kart, and then the Forza Racing Tony Kart. Teddy Wilson also with Forza Racing, making the switch just days, almost literally, before the opening round of the European Championships. Brilliant start by the American Logan Sargent. We mentioned he's not had a good weekend, qualified way down the field in position number 46. He started this final back on grid number 25, but I can tell you the driver from the United States is now in position number 15. Kushmani tries to tuck into the slipstream of Christian Lundgaard down into turn number 2. Just flicks it sideways ever so gently. Kenny Roosens walking away with this. The gap is now 1.1 seconds. He is 0.3 of a second faster than every other driver on the circuit. 58.840, fastest lap of the race. This driver on screen, Christian Lundgaard, a 59.1. And Lundgaard is no slouch, let me tell you. winner of several WSK races earlier in the year. Pushmani, he wrapped up the Andrea Margutti Trophy in much, much cooler conditions than this in March of this year at the South Garda circuit in Italy. Just lets that Tony Kart rides the bumps a little bit sideways on the exit that time from Maney. He knows it too. Just drifted wide, tucks down behind the steering wheel. Teddy Wilson goes through. David Vidales, well, he might be the only non-OTK kart, but the Spanish driver is now up into position number 5. The Energy Card pilot is now lapping faster than almost everybody on the track, in fact, except with Kenny Rusens, going 1/10 of a second faster. He's done the fastest lap of the race. He's walking away with this. Look at the lead he's got. Kenny Rusens, 1.4 seconds back to Lundgaard. The Dane on screen now. He's got second place under control. Pushmani's starting to drift. 0.3 of a second back to the Indian from Bangalore. Spends most of his time in the United Kingdom. Fourth place, Teddy Wilson. There's your race leader, Kenny Rusens. Cale Collette, fastest lap of the race. He actually sat on pole position provisionally for much of Friday's qualifying session from Sao Paulo in Brazil. He was only just pipped at the end of the session. He's in 5th place at the moment. Set the fastest lap of the race. Kenny Rusens with this one under control as the field starts to spread out a little bit. 10 laps to go at the end of this one. Pushmani going through. He's out of the slipstream of Christian Lundgaard. He can't get an aerodynamic advantage. He's too far back. Cale Collette is charging. He's now up into position number 4, fastest lap of the race for the Cosmic Kart driver from Brazil. He's going to be on the tail of these drivers and looking at a podium. He's got the time to do it, 10 laps remaining. The gap between Cale Collette and the third place driver, Pushmani, is just under a second. There's Lundgaard. Pushmani can't make inroads, but the driver who's getting bigger and bigger behind them is Cale Collette in the Cosmic Kart. There he is, just flashing through at the back of the screen. He's dragging Teddy Wilson along for the ride. Pushmani seems to be struggling with that final corner of the lap each time round. That's where he loses time to Lundgaard. Kenny Rusens down into turn number 1, sits very low in the kart. He doesn't need the slipstream advantage. Barely see over the steering wheel. Beautifully set up team or kart by the VDK racing team. Gorilla powered Cosmic, as you can see. All the drivers in the junior category using the French Lecomte tyre. Hardly works the steering wheel at all. Super, super smooth. You can see the black rubber line going down here on the Portimao circuit. 1,531 metres. But the drivers will actually go about 50 metres further than that each lap. They actually cover about 1,580 metres each time round, taking the ideal racing line, parts of the track out to 10 metres wide, including this, the main straight. We are past half race distance. The gap from your leader, Rusens, to Lundgaard is 2.6 seconds. There's David Vidales flying through in the Energy Cart. He's ahead of Presley Martono. Clement Novalak drifting back into position number 8. Presley Martono, the Indonesian, he's got clear air in front and behind him, holding down 7th spot. Oscar Piastri is driving a brilliant race. He is coming from the back of the grid. He's now up into position number 15. He's behind the Swede, Isaac Blomqvist, as Kale Collette is now right on the tail of the Indian driver. Push Maney, this is the corner that Maney's struggling with. Just rides the bumps a little bit. He wasn't too bad that time, but Kale Collette was brilliant. He's in the slipstream now. They go through turn number 1. Watch out for the Brazilian. Surely under brakes into turn number 2. Can't do it this time. Push Maney holds off Collette. As Rasmus Lind, the Ricardo Kart driver, retires from the race, Collette has got time to get on the podium. It's the Brazilian versus the Indian. This is allowing Christian Lundgaard to get away. Up the inside, Kyle Collette. Push Maney has to concede the position. He's off the podium. As he was doing it, as the Brazilian was passing him, he looked behind him. Was next in line is Teddy Wilson. His teammate, in fact, the two Forza Racing drivers are 4th and 5th. Kyle Collette, we thought, well, can he get up on the podium? He's on the podium. He's now chasing down the 2nd spot. Let's have a look at the replay. Pushman, he tried to defend. He tried to turn in. Give him credit, though. He did give him racing room. The Brazilian was unstoppable, though. He's got the speed. Last time round was a 58.411. Kenny Rusens at 58.422. Best lap of the race so far. Sebastian Fernandez from Venezuela is 13th behind the Chinese driver, Sun Yu Yang. Oscar Piastri's picked up another one. He's ahead of the Brit now in 14th spot. Alex Quinn is 15th. And behind them, Isaac Blomqvist. As we focus on the battle for 2nd spot, Christian Lundgaard's now having to drive defensively. Surely the Brazilian's going to take the Dane, possibly even on this corner. Up the inside, nicely done. Kale Collette from Sao Paulo, Brazil. Now up into position number 2. He started out of grid number 10. Christian Lundgaard just heads onto the bottom step of the podium. He's in the slipstream. Can he retaliate? Not this time. Push Maney's been drawn back into this fight. Teddy Wilson's not too far behind. We take a look at the replay. Lundgaard tried to defend. He left it very, very late to take the racing line. Kale Collette said, I don't care how long you're going to take, I'm just going to wait until you move over and then dive up the inside. He did it easily in the end. Kale Collette from grid number 10 from Sao Paulo, Brazil, is now in position number 2. Surely he can't catch our leader, can he? Kenny Rusens has got a 3.9-second lead. Fastest lap of the race is from the Frenchman Charles Milesi. He's driving a factory Tony car, but he's way, way down the field and effectively out of contention. Cordana Minang is behind his countryman in 8th spot. Presley Martono in 7th. David Vidales, there he goes through the energy car. The Spaniard is in position number 6. As Push Maney up the inside of Christian Lundgaard. Lundgaard's off the podium. Can he respond? He looks behind him. Push Maney is back on the bottom step of the podium. This is a brilliant fight for 3rd place. The opening round of the Euro Championships. Push Maney blocks the inside line. Kyle Collette is walking away from this battle and Teddy Wilson is being drawn into it. Push Maney for Forza Racing. Can he take the bottom step of the podium? There are 3 laps to go at the end of this one. Kenny Rusens has now got a 4-second lead. Christian Lundgaard is in a Forza Racing sandwich. This is the corner that Push Maney struggles with. He goes wide. Lundgaard's in the slipstream. Push Maney blocks the inside. Side by side down into turn number 2. It's going to be Teddy Wilson up the inside. Wow, Lundgaard was looking at 3rd place. He's now back up into 5th. David Vidales, oh, he takes the Dane as well. So he just goes from bad to worse for Christian Lundgaard. He was looking at a podium. David Vidales now up into 4th spot. This is brilliant racing for the final step of the podium. David Vidales alongside the Forza Racing driver Christian Lundgaard up over the ripple strip. This is brilliant, brilliant stuff. The opening round of the European Championships, that's David Vidales in the blue energy car. They come through the final section of the track for the fourth last time. Getting drawn into this battle also is Presley Martono from Indonesia. Can the driver from Jakarta do anything about it? Oh, they touch! Big crash, David. Vidales is out. It's a huge crash into turn number 1. Wow. Inevitably, we almost saw that coming. That was absolutely massive. Kenny Rusens has got a 4.3 second lead, but David Vidales was looking at a podium spot. His race has ended in the wall on the exit of turn number 1. Christian Lundgaard holds on. The double waved yellow flag is out. The race has been neutralised. And with only 2 laps remaining, I suspect the race is effectively already over. Perdana Minang, you can see he's come back into contention. So the 4.3 second lead that Kenny Rusens had over Kyle Collette will evaporate. It's a double waved yellow flag. They cannot pass. Let's have a look at the replay. Vidales up the inside of the Forza Racing pilot. They touch wheels. This is at more than 130 k's an hour. The Spaniard David Vidales backwards. Oh, how close was the rest of the field, including Presley Martono, to escape through. So this is the final lap of the race, which has been neutralised. Kenny Rusens, his lead has dissipated, but it doesn't matter because they cannot pass. He cannot lose this race. Just spectacular. Teddy Wilson in the Forza Racing car touches wheels with the airborne Spaniard David Vidales backwards mid-air over the ripple strip into turn 1, out of the race. But this is the final lap. No one can beat the Belgian. Kenny Rusens, he doesn't have much of a lead, but he doesn't need it because Kyle Collette cannot legally pass him for the win. The opening round of the European Championships is under race neutralisation. He wins it! Kenny Rusens from Kyle Collette, and Kush Maney takes the bottom step of the podium. Christian Lundgaard finishes 4th. He'll be disappointed to be off the podium, but thankful not to be in the back of an ambulance. Ivan Shvetsov, the Russian, he came from nowhere. He's finished in 5th, ahead of Perdana Minang, Felipe Drugovich, Sun Yu Yang. Clement Novalak was 9th, and Alex Quinn rounds out the top 10. What a race, what a finish! Overshadowed somewhat by that spectacular accident with 2 laps to go, but let's take nothing away from your race winner. And now your new championship leader, provisionally of course, Kenny Rusens, Cosmic Car, VDK Racing from Belgium. One of the most sensational finishes we've seen in a long, long time in the CIK European Championships, which is quite remarkable considering the race finished under double waved yellows. Kyle Collette, brilliant drive from grid number 10. He finished in 2nd spot. Kush Maney, the Indian from Bangalore, he was 3rd. Lundgaard 4th, head of the Russian Shvetsov. Minang, Felipe Drugovich, 7th place for his championship. Sun Yu Yang, Clement Novalak, ahead of his countryman Alex Quinn. Credit also to the Frenchman Charles Melesi, 11th, and a brilliant drive by Oscar Piastri. Well done, mate. From grid number 32, you finished 12th out of 63 drivers in the European Championships, one ahead of the highly rated Venezuelan Sebastian Fernandez. Logan Sargent came home 17th from the back of the grid. Look at the bottom of the screen there, David Vidales. He was looking at a podium. Now he's looking at the back of an ambulance. He's out in that spectacular crash in turn 1 with 2 laps to go with the Brit, Teddy Wilson. Presley Martono, also a casualty of that. Well, that's the scene here in Portimao as we try and take a breath. This was the start. Perdana Minang, remember, he started on the outside of the front row of the grid. He would go on to finish in position number 6. Kenny Rusens, he was brilliant in the pre-final. He was brilliant in the final. This is as close as the rest of the field would get until the double waved yellow came out. Kyle Collette, brilliant drive from grid number 10 to take the second step of the podium. Christian Lundgaard from Denmark, dicing here with the Forza Racing drivers, Teddy Wilson and Kushmani. They all started to bunch up. It was brilliant, brilliant racing. There's Wilson and Maney. Lundgaard in a Forza Racing sandwich. Look how far back David Vidales is at this point. But their dicing allowed the Spaniard to catch up. They were line astern at this point. David Vidales temporarily was on the podium. He dove through past Lundgaard into third spot right there. Teddy Wilson took him back. Christian Lundgaard over the Ripple Strip. They were too wide on a part of the circuit where you can't really pass. Then the race really, really came alive. Watch the Spaniard, David Vidales in the energy car. Remember, he came from grid number 12. For a few moments, he was in third. And then watch this. They clash at more than 100 k's an hour into turn 1, backwards into the wall here in Portimao. The race finished under double wave yellows. Your winner, Kenny Roosens from Belgium.